always thought that the night before my wedding would feel like a fairy tale. Nerves fluttering in my chest, laughter echoing from family members gathered under one roof, my best friend running around making sure every detail was perfect, while my fiancé whispered promises of forever in my ear. That was how it was supposed to go. And for most of the day, it did. We had the rehearsal dinner at my parents' house, a warm old place with creaky wooden floors that had been in the family for generations. The backyard had been strung with fairy lights, long tables set up for the bridal party, and my dad was already cracking jokes with the groomsmen before the food was even served. Everyone looked at me with that gleam in their eyes, the one that says, "You're about to start your happily ever after." My best friend, Kayla, was glowing. She wasn't the bride, but she may as well have been the way she moved through the crowd, fixing decorations, whispering encouragement into my ear, keeping my glass full. "This is it," she said, hugging me tight when no one was looking. "You've dreamed of this your whole life, and tomorrow it finally happens. You deserve every second of happiness." I believed her. I believed every word. And my fiancé, Ryan, looked at me like I was the only person in the world. He brushed strands of hair from my face, kissed my hand in front of everyone, whispered about how he couldn't wait to see me walk down the aisle. I thought to myself, this is real. This is the forever I prayed for. But even that night, little things didn't sit right. Kayla laughed a little too hard at Ryan's jokes. Not the way she laughed at mine, but the kind of laugh that lingers, like it's meant to stick to your skin. When Ryan got up to make a toast, his eyes found mine, but just for a flicker of a second, they darted toward her, so fast, so subtle, that I almost convinced myself I imagined it. I brushed it off. I told myself I was being paranoid. Pre-wedding jitters can play tricks on your brain, make you see shadows where there are none. After dinner, the crowd began to thin. Guests hugged me goodbye, promising they couldn't wait for the big day. My parents kissed my cheeks, my cousins lingered, snapping last-minute photos on their phones. Kayla insisted on staying behind with me, helping clean up. She said, "You need your rest, tomorrow's huge. I'll handle the little things." Ryan offered to stay too, but my dad nudged him with a grin. "Tradition, son. You can't see her until tomorrow. Don't go sneaking around or it'll be bad luck." Ryan laughed, kissed me once more, and promised me forever. By 11 o'clock, the house was quiet except for me and Kayla. We were barefoot in the kitchen, scrubbing wine glasses, humming to old songs we used to love in high school. For a moment, it felt like we were kids again, dreaming about futures we couldn't even picture. Then Kayla said something that made my stomach twist. "You know," she said, carefully drying a glass, "if you'd told me back then that you'd be the first one of us to get married, I wouldn't have believed it." "Why?" I asked, laughing lightly. She shrugged, her eyes on the glass in her hand. "You were always the dreamer, the one chasing love and everything. I thought it'd break your heart more than make you happy." Guess I was wrong. It was a strange thing to say, but before I could reply, and she changed the subject. By midnight, Kayla went upstairs to her guest room, and I curled up in my childhood bed, staring at the ceiling, my chest fluttering with nerves and excitement. Tomorrow, I would walk down that aisle in white. Tomorrow, I would be Mrs. Ryan Calloway. Tomorrow, everything I dreamed about since I was a little girl would finally be real. Except it wasn't. Around 2 in the morning, I woke up, not fully awake, just restless. The house was dark, but I heard something faint, footsteps on the stairs. I told myself it was Kayla sneaking to the kitchen for water. I almost rolled over and went back to sleep. But then I heard a low laugh. Not Kayla's laugh, not the kind she gave me. A hushed, intimate laugh, mixed with another voice I knew too well. Ryan. My blood ran cold. Why was Ryan in the house? He wasn't supposed to see me until the ceremony. My dad's words echoed in my head. "Don't go sneaking around or it'll be bad luck." Quietly, I slipped out of bed, my bare feet against the wooden floor. The voices were coming from downstairs. The kitchen, maybe. I moved slowly, my heart thundering so loud I thought they'd hear it. And then, halfway down the stairs, I froze. The lights were dim, but the kitchen door was open just enough for me to see inside. Kayla was sitting on the counter, her dress pulled up around her thighs. Ryan stood between her legs, his hands gripping her waist, his mouth pressed against hers. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. My world cracked in half in that instant. Everything I thought I knew, shattering like glass hitting tile. Kayla pulled back first, breathless, and whispered, "We can't. Not tonight." Ryan smirked, brushing her hair back. "One last time. She'll never know. She'll never know." The words sliced through me like a knife. I wanted to scream, to burst in and rip them apart. But I couldn't move. My body was locked in place, watching my future burn in front of me. Kayla tilted her head back, her lips parting, and Ryan kissed her again. Deeper this time, his hands roaming like he'd done this 1,000 times before. Not a mistake, not a slip, a secret, a betrayal that had been festering long before tonight. The kitchen blurred through my tears, my breath ragged and silent as I clung to the banister to keep from collapsing. Tomorrow, I was supposed to marry him. Tomorrow, she was supposed to stand beside me as maid of honor. But tonight, they were together. And I was nothing but a fool who thought she was living a fairy tale. I don't remember how I made it back up the stairs. My body was on autopilot, my mind in a fog so thick I couldn't see through it. All I knew was that if I stayed there another second, if I watched Ryan's hands slip further up Kayla's dress, I might actually fall apart on the kitchen floor. My bedroom door clicked shut behind me, and I pressed my back against it, trembling. My chest heaved, but no sound came out. I couldn't cry. Not yet. The tears burned at the corners of my eyes, but shock kept them trapped there. Like my body refused to let me release anything. Tomorrow, I was supposed to stand in front of hundreds of people and marry that man. And Kayla was supposed to stand next to me, holding my bouquet, smiling like she hadn't just betrayed me in the worst way possible. I thought of her words earlier that night. You were always the dreamer, the one chasing love and everything. I thought it'd break your heart more than make you happy. She knew. She knew exactly what she was doing when she said it. I lay down, but I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling until the first rays of morning pushed through my curtains. My phone buzzed on the nightstand, message after message from family, friends, vendors. Today's the big day. But it wasn't. Not anymore. By 7 a.m., the house was awake. My mom was making pancakes downstairs. My dad was pacing the yard with his coffee, barking instructions to my uncles about setting up chairs. Kayla knocked on my door softly. Hey, sleepyhead. Big day. Her voice made my stomach churn. I opened the door, and there she stood, looking angelic in a silk robe, her hair pinned back. She smiled at me like nothing had happened, like she hadn't spent the night with my fiancé. I wanted to slap her. I wanted to scream in her face. Instead, I whispered, I saw you. The smile froze. What? I saw you, last night, in the kitchen. My throat tightened. With Ryan. For a second, she looked shocked, but then something terrifying happened. Her expression softened into pity. You weren't supposed to see that, she said quietly. My knees nearly gave out. You admit it? Kayla stepped into my room, closing the door behind her. Look, I know how this looks, but it's not what you think. Not what I think? My voice cracked. You were on the counter with your legs around him. How else am I supposed to take that? She sighed, brushing her hair back. It's complicated. Ryan, he's been confused. And honestly, so have I. But it doesn't change the fact that he loves you. He chose you. He chose me? The words tore out of me, sharp and bitter. By sleeping with my best friend the night before our wedding? Kayla's eyes flickered, just for a moment, with something I couldn't name. Not guilt, not shame. Something closer to triumph. You're overreacting, she said finally. It was a mistake. One last stupid mistake before he commits to you forever. My heart pounded so loud, I thought it might break through my ribs. How long? I demanded. Her lips pressed together. How long has this been going on, Kayla? When she didn't answer, the silence said everything. I stumbled back, gripping the edge of my dresser to steady myself. My hands shook so violently the jewelry box rattled. Oh my God, all this time, all the nights you said you were busy, all the times he was late. Kayla reached for me, but I pulled away. Don't touch me. Her face hardened then, all pretense of pity vanishing. Fine, but think about this. What good does it do to ruin everything now? The guests are already arriving. Your parents spent a fortune. Ryan is still yours. What happened last night doesn't have to matter. I stared at her, unable to believe what I was hearing. Doesn't have to matter? Her voice dropped lower, almost a hiss. If you call this off, you'll humiliate yourself. Everyone will know your perfect relationship wasn't so perfect. They'll pity you. Is that what you want? To be the girl who got left at the altar? The venom in her words stunned me. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't even afraid. She was calculating, trying to manipulate me into silence. Get out, I whispered. Kayla tilted her head, watching me like she was waiting for me to crack. When I didn't, she finally turned and walked out, closing the door with infuriating calm. Minutes later, Ryan knocked. Babe? His voice was careful, testing. Can I come in for a second? I almost didn't answer, but something in me needed to hear what he would say. He stepped inside, looking disheveled, but trying to pull off charm. I know Kayla probably said something to you. She twists things. I laughed bitterly. I didn't hear it from her. I saw it, with my own eyes. His face paled. Listen, it was a mistake. I had too much to drink. Stop lying. My voice shook, but I didn't break. How long? His mouth opened, closed. Then softly, a few months. The air left my lungs. Ryan stepped closer, desperate. But it doesn't mean anything. You're the one I want to marry. Today. Right now. She means nothing. Nothing? I spat the word. You threw away everything for nothing? His jaw clenched. You don't understand. No. I cut him off. I understand perfectly. I turned away, but his hand grabbed my arm. Don't do this. Don't throw us away over something stupid. I yanked free, my skin crawling where he touched me. You already did that. The sound of voices drifted from outside. Laughter, music, guests arriving early. The world was still spinning toward a wedding that I could no longer stomach. I looked at Ryan, then at the door where Kayla had left moments before. My fiancé and my best friend. The two people I trusted most. Both of them had betrayed me. And I was supposed to walk down an aisle and smile through it? Not a chance. But what I didn't know then was that the real nightmare hadn't even begun. The lies they spun, the secrets they tried to bury, the way the truth unraveled in front of everyone, that was still waiting for me. The next hours blurred into a waking nightmare. I should have called everything off right then, packed a bag, and disappeared before anyone noticed. But weddings are like runaway trains. Once they're moving, it takes something catastrophic to stop them. And I didn't yet know how to derail this one without letting the whole world see me break. By mid-morning, the house was chaos. Makeup artists setting up in the dining room, photographers snapping candid shots of my family, laughing in the kitchen, my dad already sweating through his suit as he barked orders about flowers and seating charts. The air was thick with perfume, hairspray, and forced joy. Inside, I was hollow. Kayla floated through it all like nothing had happened, her laughter bright, her hands gentle as she adjusted veils and pinned corsages. Every time our eyes met, hers lingered too long, a silent dare. Say something, I dare you. Ryan avoided me, though I could feel his presence like static in the room. He was outside with his groomsmen, probably practicing his smile in the mirror. The same smile that had melted me once. Now, it made my skin crawl. By noon, I was dressed. The white gown I dreamed of since childhood clung to me like a costume, mocking me with every shimmer of fabric. The veil felt heavy, suffocating. I looked at myself in the mirror and didn't recognize the woman staring back. The woman in the mirror wasn't glowing with happiness. She was pale, haunted, eyes rimmed red from holding back tears. She looked like someone on her way to a funeral. My own. Breathe, my mom said behind me, mistaking my silence for nerves. Every bride feels like this. Cold feet. Cold feet. If only she knew. The ceremony was set in the backyard, under an arch my father had built himself, twined with roses and fairy lights. Guests filled the chairs, their chatter rising like a tide. Music played softly. I could see it all from the upstairs window, the dream wedding we'd spent months planning, the fairy tale that was already poisoned. My heart pounded as the bridal march began. My mom squeezed my hand, my dad took my arm, and then the doors opened. Hundreds of eyes turned toward me, and I walked. Each step was torture. The white petals scattered on the aisle looked like bones. The smiles on people's faces twisted into pity in my mind, as if they already knew. Kayla stood at the altar, bouquet in hand, eyes glinting beneath her perfectly painted lashes. Ryan stood beside the officiant, looking handsome, proud, like a man who had nothing to hide. When I reached him, he took my hands. His touch made bile rise in my throat. The ceremony began. The officiant's words washed over me like static. Something about love, unity, forever. I stared at Ryan, and in my mind, I saw him with Kayla, her laughter in the dark, her robe on my bedroom floor. Do you take this man? The words cut through the fog. This was it. The moment. Every muscle in my body screamed to lie, to nod, to smile, to say yes, and let the machine keep moving. But my mouth betrayed me. No. The silence that followed was deafening. Gas rippled through the crowd. My mother's hands flew to her mouth. My father froze like a statue. Ryan's face drained of color. What? I pulled my hands from his grip, my voice shaking but louder this time. No, I can't marry you. The officiant stammered, looking at his notes like he'd misread something. Perhaps we should... But I was already turning, already facing the crowd, or my pulse roared in my ears, but the words came anyway. I can't marry him because last night, I caught him with her. I pointed straight at Kayla. Dozens of heads turned in unison. Kayla's face went sheet white, then flushed crimson. That's not... She started, but I cut her off. Don't you dare lie. I saw it with my own eyes. In my parents' kitchen. The night before my wedding, my best friend and my fiancé decided I wasn't enough. The gas turned to whispers, whispers to shouts. Phones came out, recording, snapping photos. Ryan grabbed my arm, hissing through clenched teeth. Stop it. You're humiliating yourself. I yanked free. No, Ryan. You humiliated me. For months. Both of you. The officiant looked horrified, clutching his book like it might protect him from the fallout. My mother was crying, my father glaring at Ryan like he might kill him on the spot. Kayla tried to speak again, her voice shrill. She's lying. She's just scared. She doesn't know what she saw. Then explain this, I snapped, pulling out my phone. Because what they didn't know was that I had filmed it. My hands had been shaking, my vision blurry, but I had hit record when I saw them. And it was all there. The laughter, the kissing, the betrayal. I hit play. And the sound echoed through the speakers they'd set up for the vows. Kayla froze. Ryan lunged for my phone, but my father stepped between us, shoving him back with a force I'd never seen from him. The crowd erupted. Guests stood, shouting, some storming off, others circling closer like they couldn't look away. And in the chaos, I realized something chilling. Neither Ryan nor Kayla looked sorry. They looked angry, exposed, dangerous. Ryan's jaw tightened as he leaned close enough that only I could hear. You'll regret this. And something in his voice made me believe him. Because this wasn't the end of the story. Not by a long shot. This was just the beginning of a war I didn't even know I'd been drafted into. The wedding was over. Not postponed. Not salvaged. Over. The guests fled like a stampede. Some muttering, some smirking. all hungry for gossip they'd be dining out on for months. Chairs toppled. Flowers crushed under shoes. The fairy lights flickered in the chaos, turning what was meant to be a celebration into something grotesque. A battlefield littered with silk petals and broken glass. Kayla was gone by the time I looked back at the arch, slipped away like smoke, cowardly, silent. But Ryan lingered. He stood in the wreckage, shoulders heaving, his fists clenched at his sides. His groomsmen hovered uncertainly, unsure if they should approach or abandon him. His mother sobbed into a handkerchief. His father whispered something sharp in his ear, but Ryan didn't move. He was staring at me, like I was prey. I felt my father's arm around my shoulders, his voice in my ear telling me to come inside, to get away from the mess. But my feet wouldn't move. Not until Ryan finally turned and stormed off, dragging his parents with him. The moment his car peeled out of the driveway, my legs gave way. The next thing I remember is sitting in my childhood bedroom, still in my wedding dress, mascara streaking down my cheeks. My mom was at the foot of the bed, dabbing at my hem with tissues as though she could wipe away the shame. My dad paced, muttering curses about that boy and that snake of a friend. Snake. That word stuck. Because the more I thought about it, the less it felt like a drunken mistake between two weak people. No. Kayla had been calculating, patient, a snake waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And I had handed her the opportunity on a silver platter. Maid of honor, confidant, sister in everything but blood. I told her my secrets, my doubts about Ryan, even the times I thought maybe we weren't perfect. She'd stored it all, weaponized it, and then used it to justify stealing the life I'd built. Sleep didn't come that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Ryan's face when he hissed those words at me, "You'll regret this." And regret came fast. Because the next morning, my phone exploded. Text messages, missed calls, social media notifications piling up faster than I could read them. Hashtags with my name, with Ryan's, with Kayla's. Clips of the video I'd played at the altar, passed around like wildfire. Strangers commenting on my humiliation, dissecting my heartbreak like it was entertainment. Some cheered me for exposing them. Others mocked me for being blind, for not seeing it sooner. I was both the victim and the fool, depending on who you asked. And then came the private messages. From Ryan. "You made me look weak. You think people will side with you? Wait until they hear what I have to say." From Kayla. "Congratulations. You won the sympathy vote." But sympathy fades. When it does, they'll see you for what you are. And I'll still be here. With him. It wasn't over. They weren't going to disappear quietly. By the end of the week, the stories had changed. Suddenly, I was the villain. Ryan told anyone who'd listen that I'd been paranoid, controlling, emotionally unstable. Kayla whispered that I'd fabricated the video, that I'd always had jealous tendencies. And people believed them, because that's what betrayal does. It doesn't just break your heart, it poisons your credibility. My own maid of honor, my almost husband, were rewriting history while I was still trying to breathe. My parents wanted me to cut off my phone, stay quiet, let the storm pass. But silence felt like surrender. So I fought back. I posted everything. Screenshots of their messages, dates, times, receipts. Proof that Kayla had been with Ryan when she told me she was studying late. Proof that Ryan had spent nights working when he was really at her apartment. I even uploaded the full uncut video from that night in my kitchen. For a while, it worked. People rallied again, calling them cheaters, liars, narcissists. I thought maybe I'd finally buried them in their own dirt. But snakes don't die easy. 2 weeks later, I got a message request from an unknown account. No name, just a photo attached. It was me, at a party, months before the wedding, drunk. Leaning too close to a guy I barely remembered. His hand on my waist, his mouth near my ear. Out of context, it looked damning. The caption read, "Cheater cries wolf." I don't know who took it, I don't know who sent it, but I knew exactly who was behind it. Ryan and Kayla weren't just defending themselves. They were going on the attack. And suddenly, it wasn't about the wedding anymore. It wasn't even about betrayal. It was about war. They wanted to ruin me. And judging by the growing whispers at work, the awkward stares at the grocery store, the sudden distance from friends who didn't know what to believe, it was working. The nightmare wasn't the wedding that never happened. The nightmare was that the people who betrayed me once weren't finished. And deep down, I knew they never would be.